The Xenarch Empire had conquered 10,000 worlds. They erased species with a whisper, crushed rebellions before they began, and laughed at the memory of extinct Earth, until tonight. In the cold silence above their throne world, an impossible silhouette emerged, a ship blacker than space itself, wrapped in shifting energy and death. Scanners failed. Weapons backfired. A single chilling transmission followed: we were never gone. Prepare to remember why you feared us. The bridge of the Imperial dreadnought Vorantha's Wrath was silent, save for the low hum of active scans. Admiral Razek stood tall, cloaked in flowing carmine regalia, his mandibles flexing in irritation. "Report," he snapped. The junior comms officer, scales flickering a nervous pale blue, swallowed hard. "Unidentified contact, Admiral. It just appeared. Out of nowhere. 60 parsecs inside restricted space. Impossible. No ship can breach our defense perimeter unnoticed." Razek stalked toward the viewport. His compound eyes narrowed as the anomaly drifted into view on the main display. At first glance, it was an absence rather than a presence, an unnatural void eclipsing the stars behind it, ringed by thin arcs of crackling blue energy. "Analysis," Razek ordered. The tactical officer stammered. "Nothing matches known profiles. Size 5 kilometers in length. No heat signature. No warp trail. Structure shifting. Our scanners keep glitching, sir," Razek sneered. "Then we do this the old way." He pointed a clawed digit. "Lock weapons. Target its propulsion systems. Disable, not destroy. I want prisoners." The weapons officer hesitated. "Sir, there's more." She tapped a screen. A garbled audio transmission echoed across the chamber. "We were never gone. Prepare to remember why you feared us." The bridge froze. The voice was human. Razek's growl cut through the stunned silence. "Fire!" A wall of particle lances, graviton torpedoes, and disruptor arrays screamed across space. The energy surge blinded sensors for a split second. When the static cleared, the Leviathan remained unscathed. Its jagged silhouette slowly rotated to face them. Then, in a terrifyingly deliberate movement, it advanced. "Incoming energy spike!" the sensor officer shrieked. The Leviathan discharged. No projectile. No beam. Just a ripple of dark energy that spread like a silent tsunami. The Vorantha's Wrath groaned violently. Hull plates buckled. Systems shut down. Lights flickered into darkness. Secondary explosions erupted through the decks. The bridge emergency lights glowed dim red. Razek clawed his way back to the command dais. "What in the name of the Nine Suns?" "All fleet assets report catastrophic failure," the comms officer whispered, shaking. "They've disabled us without firing a weapon." The Leviathan's hull split open along geometric seams. From the void emerged dozens of smaller craft, black-winged, silent, drifting toward the crippled Imperial fleet. Ghost drones. They phased through shields, through bulkheads, disabling ships from within like phantoms. Panic erupted. "They're inside the Vanguard. Shields mean nothing. We're venting atmosphere on Deck 5. Multiple boarding alerts. Sir, they're inside the flagship." The bridge doors burst open. The room fell silent as the figure stepped forward. Commander Eric Voss. Human. A towering silhouette clad in Titan-class nanosuit armor, matte black with veins of shifting crimson. His helm retracted, revealing sharp, grim features. Cold blue eyes scanned the bridge. Calm. Calculating. Razek staggered backward. You're extinct." Voss's voice was ice. "You should have made sure." Razek's claws flared. "This is an act of war." Voss took another step, unhurried. "No. This is justice." Razek lunged, a retractable energy blade igniting from his forearm. Voss sidestepped effortlessly. The blade hissed through empty air. In a blur, Voss caught Razek's arm mid-strike and twisted. Bone and chitin cracked. Razek roared in agony, collapsing to one knee. Voss crouched, voice low and venomous. You hunted us to extinction. You bombed Earth, sterilized colonies, butchered civilians for sport. And when you were done, you erased our name from your histories. Did you think we would forget? Razek spat defiance. We are the Empire. We own the stars. You are a relic. Voss smiled faintly, coldly. Then let me remind you what relics can do. He tapped a control pad on his gauntlet. Outside, the Leviathan repositioned. Singularities bloomed silently across the void. Entire Imperial capital ships were folded in upon themselves, compacted to dense orbs of ruin in seconds. The fleet, the pride of the Xenarch Empire, vanished ship by ship, helpless. Voss straightened, released Razek's shattered arm, and turned his back. You have 3 hours to evacuate Forinth Prime's civilians. Your military command structure no longer exists. Razek gasped. You wouldn't dare. Voss's reply was soft but lethal. Try me. Razek watched helplessly as Voss strode away. The human commander paused at the threshold. Tell XY Tal. I'm coming. The bridge remained in stunned silence. The Leviathan drifted back into the darkness, leaving only debris fields and unanswered questions. On board the Leviathan, Voss stood alone at the viewport, watching the Empire's heart world loom ever closer. Phase 1 complete, came the AI's voice. Voss nodded. Begin Phase 2. The stars whispered of the awakening of humanity. The galaxy would never be the same again. The remains of the Xenarch fleet drifted like twisted grave markers in the cold silence of the Vorinth expanse. On board the Leviathan, Commander Eric Voss stood motionless as sensor data streamed across the tactical display. Every pulse of information confirmed the same truth. The most powerful navy in the known galaxy had been annihilated without a single human casualty. Voss spoke calmly. Status. The AI's voice echoed, sharp and clinical. Imperial Battle Group Delta destroyed. 17 ships neutralized. No life signs remaining. Secondary fleets are rerouting to defensive positions. Let them. Voss's eyes narrowed. They're already too late. Across the shattered sector, flickers of movement marked the arrival of Imperial reinforcements. The Ascended Spear, Emperor's Will, Vorinth Hammer, all legendary names, all converging to trap the Leviathan. Inside the Imperial flagship, Admiral Sarzek, Razek's second, stared at the impossible vessel on his view screen. They toyed with us. No more games. Prepare all batteries. If it breathes, we end it. Voss watched the incoming formation. Target priority, capital ships first. Begin silent advance. The Leviathan shifted, its exterior morphing fluidly like liquid metal into a streamlined blade. Invisible to sensors, unseen to the naked eye, it coasted effortlessly into the heart of the Imperial formation. Inside the Imperial bridge, Sarzek bellowed orders. They've disappeared from scans. Sweep the grid. Nothing gets through. The first of the Singularity torpedoes struck the Vorinth hammer. A quiet implosion, then the massive vessel vanished into a pinpoint of light, leaving only empty space where 2,000 crew had been. Panic exploded across the fleet. We've lost the hammer. Shields did nothing. We can't lock onto the target. Officers shouted over the rising wail of alarms. Multiple energy spikes. They're everywhere and nowhere. Voss remained silent, watching with icy detachment as another torpedo breached the Emperor's Will, folding the battleship into itself like paper. The explosion was silent in the vacuum, yet monstrous in consequence. The surviving ships fired wildly into the void, desperate, terrified. Disruptor blasts streaked in every direction, illuminating nothing. Inside the Leviathan, the AI spoke again. 70% of remaining ships disabled. Casualties on our side 0. Voss responded without emotion. Prepare ghost drones. Time to finish this. Hundreds of the micro-drones deployed, slipping undetected through energy shields and hull plating. They severed power conduits, breached reactors, and infiltrated bridge controls. Screens flickered to black across every Imperial vessel. Crews screamed in confusion as systems failed and weapons powered down. A calm channel opened abruptly on the Leviathan's bridge. A shaken voice crackled through. "This is Admiral Sarzek of the Xenarch Dominion. Identify yourself." Voss tapped the console. "This is Commander Eric Voss. Human Continuum." Sarzek froze. "Human? That's impossible. You were wiped out." Voss's tone sharpened like a blade. "Your ancestors failed. And now you will answer for it." Sarzek's arrogance flickered. "You can't fight the entire Dominion." Voss leaned forward slightly. "I'm not fighting. I'm demonstrating. Surrender your fleet and disengage from this sector." Sarzek's pride surged. "Never." Voss nodded once to his tactical officer. The Leviathan accelerated instantly, emerging directly before Sarzek's flagship. A single lance of energy burst from the ship's core, puncturing the flagship from bow to stern with mathematical precision. It did not explode. It vented its atmosphere into space like a ruptured vein. A dozen more ships followed, gutted silently by the same weapon. Sarzek's voice returned, ragged and hoarse. "You're a monster." Voss's words were steel. "I'm the consequence." All at once, the surviving Imperial ships powered down their weapons and initiated retreat protocols. Escape pods launched. Vessels limped toward the far edges of the expanse. The once mighty armada broke ranks and scattered like leaves in a storm. The Leviathan's AI reported. "All enemy hostilities ceased. Sector secured." Voss exhaled slowly. "Signal all Imperial governors in the outer colonies. Tell them what happened here. Tell them what awaits if they refuse to stand down." The comm link engaged again without warning. A cold, imperious voice replaced Sarzek's desperation. "This is Supreme Marshal X Whitehall of the Dominion. Commander Voss. I know you can hear me." Voss stared into the darkness of space, his jaw tightening. "I hear you. Impressive theatrics. You crippled a fleet. You embarrassed my admirals. But you have awakened a power you cannot fathom. Withdraw now and you may yet live." Voss responded instantly, voice low, lethal. "You misunderstand. I haven't begun." X Whitehall's voice twisted in fury. "You dare threaten the throne?" Voss allowed a grim smile. "No. I promise." The link cut. An eerie stillness returned to space. The wreckage of the once feared Xenarch fleet floated lifeless under the cold watch of the Leviathan. "Set course," Voss commanded. "Vorinth Prime." The Leviathan's engines ignited with soundless fury. As it accelerated toward the Dominion's capital, Eric Voss stood with arms crossed behind his back. The AI asked, "Commander, Phase 2? Voss's reply came without hesitation. Phase 2. The hunt had only just begun. And the galaxy had no idea what awaited next. The Leviathan pierced the void with terrifying grace, its silhouette black against the violent blue swirl of Vorinth Prime's orbiting energy storms. On board, Commander Eric Voss stood with measured stillness as the capital world grew larger in the tactical display. The Dominion's last defenses waited. 1,000 ships. 20 orbital stations. Planetary cannons capable of splitting moons. Every weapon trained on the lone human warship. Voss issued a single command. "Full silent mode. Let them stare." The Xenarch High Council chambers shook under the rising panic of sensor reports. Marshal X Whitehall towered at the center, her chitin-plated frame rigid with cold fury. Her voice cut like plasma across the council. "Explain to me how one human ship approaches my throne world unhindered." Her adjutant whispered, trembling. "We don't know. It flickers in and out of scans. Our targeting systems fail to lock. It ignores mass displacement fields. Then activate everything." X Whitehall's voice deepened. "I want it gone." In orbit, the first wave of Dominion interceptors closed in, forming a wall of steel and plasma. As they fired, nothing struck home. The Leviathan twisted space around itself like a living paradox. Torpedoes vanished into non-existent folds. Beam lances bent harmlessly. One by one, The human ship eliminated the assault craft with pinpoint singularity blasts, each leaving perfect, silent craters in the debris fields. Voss watched. They still think this is a battle. The Leviathan breached the defensive ring, accelerating without visible propulsion. The Dominion fleet recoiled in panic as destroyers disappeared mid-formation, erased by weapons no Xenarch engineer could comprehend. The vast orbital stations powered up in desperation. Planet-killer weapons ignited, streaking beams of death toward the Leviathan. They passed through it like light through mist. XYTAL screamed into her command link. "What is happening? Hit it! Kill it!" The Leviathan responded. It unleashed a weapon unseen in the galaxy's history. The singularity matrix bloomed. In an instant, Orbital Station 5 folded in on itself, then winked out of existence. Station 6 followed. 7, 8. The survivors ceased firing. Even the most fanatical Xenarch commanders froze at the reality that no armor, no shield, no technology would save them. Voss stared as readouts confirmed the withdrawal order of the last outer fleet. They understand. Back on the surface, XYTAL bared her fangs. "Prepare planetary cannons. Ground batteries. I will not yield to a dead species." Voss opened a channel to the world below. His voice rang clear across every frequency the Dominion used. "This is Commander Eric Voss of the Hidden Continuum. The war is over. Stand down. No further destruction is required." The reply from XYTAL came sharp and venomous. "You presume to dictate terms to an empress?" Voss let the pause hang for 3 heartbeats. "No. I came to deliver a warning. What happened to your fleets is mercy. What happens next will not be." The planetary batteries fired. Voss didn't move. "Execute Echelon Strike Pattern Theta." The Leviathan split into phantom echoes. To the Dominion gunners, it was everywhere and nowhere. Every targeted lock failed. The Leviathan's ghost drones dropped silently from orbit, piercing the atmospheric layers undetected. As Dominion ground crews celebrated what they thought was a retreat, the drones struck with terrifying coordination. Power grids collapsed. Shield generators burned out. Planetary guns fell silent. Military installations shut down as if snuffed by an invisible hand. Voss spoke again, calm, final. "You have 5 minutes to respond." The High Council chamber was silent. Generals, admirals, and ministers stared at XYTAL. The cold realization dawned. The entire Dominion war machine lay disabled without a single human setting foot on Vorinth Prime. XYTAL seethed. "You will pay for this insolence. You cannot hold us forever." Voss answered with quiet certainty. "I don't have to. You're already broken." The Leviathan hovered motionless above the capital city, its shadow casting across the entire skyline like an omen. Within the vast halls of power, desperation turned to fear, and fear to helplessness. The Supreme Marshal sat motionless, staring at the transmission screen as the human commander waited. No boasts. No demands. Only certainty. Her voice, when it finally came, was low and bitter. "What do you want?" Voss replied without hesitation. "You will dissolve the Dominion. Free every world under your occupation. Dismantle your fleets. You will never again threaten another species. And if I refuse?" The Leviathan shifted slightly, and an entire mountain range on a nearby continent was vaporized in real time. Sensors barely registered the energy signature before it was gone. XYTAL's glare faltered. Her adjutant collapsed into a chair, silent, defeated. Voss added, "This was the scout ship." XYTAL stared in horror. "What?" Voss's voice dropped into a cold, final whisper. "We were never gone. We evolved. We waited. And we are Legion." The line cut. The Leviathan held position. No further strikes came. The Dominion capital lay silent. Across the stars, scattered Dominion governors, warlords, and planetary despots received the same message. One by one, they stood down. Entire fleets powered off. Colonies declared independence. The Dominion's centuries of rule crumbled not under occupation, but under fear of what followed if they did not obey. Inside the Leviathan, the AI reported, "All systems stable. Enemy forces surrendering. Dominion control grid collapsing." Voss allowed himself the faintest nod. Phase 3 approaches. The Leviathan shifted again, vanishing into the dark between stars. Behind it, an empire lay dead in all but name, and the galaxy whispered the words no species had dared speak for a century. Humans had returned. The bridge of the Leviathan was silent. The stars turned slowly as Vorinth Prime drifted into the background, diminished and broken. Commander Eric Voss stood at the center of the command platform, hands clasped behind his back, eyes locked on the swirling data feeds. His voice was calm, edged with finality. "Open channel. Supreme Marshal X Whiteowl." A pause. The Dominion's last leader appeared on screen, her rigid exoskeleton dulled, her eyes hollowed by sleepless nights and the weight of defeat. She said nothing. Voss spoke first. "You delayed your formal answer. My patience is finite." X Whiteowl drew herself upright with brittle defiance. "You do not understand the scale of what you've done. My empire holds 5,000 systems. You cannot hold them." Voss's reply was steel. "I don't have to. You came to destroy me." Voss's mouth tightened. "No. I came to erase the idea that the Dominion was invincible. That lesson is complete." Her mandibles clicked sharply. "You believe humiliation will shatter us?" Voss tilted his head fractionally. "It already has." He gestured toward the data feeds. "Your outer colonies declared independence 12 minutes ago. Your border fleets abandoned their posts. 7 Grand Governors just renounced the Dominion title. Your generals fight each other over who will surrender first." X Whiteowl's voice sharpened. "We will rebuild." Voss stepped closer, eyes cold as deep space. "You won't. Because the hidden continuum watches now. The galaxy knows it. They know that we waited a century in the shadows while you hunted us. They know we didn't return to conquer. We returned to finish what you started." Her breath caught. "Finish?" Voss's tone dropped to a razor's whisper. "You failed to kill us. We won't make the same mistake." The line cut. Voss turned away before the transmission faded. "Status?" The AI responded immediately. "All Dominion Central Command assets offline. Power grids, communications arrays, shipyards. Every remaining military asset crippled. Civilian sectors untouched." Voss nodded. "Initiate phase final." The Leviathan moved. It soared silently to the ruins of the once mighty Dominion Fleet Yard, orbital shipyards that had produced the deadliest weapons in galactic history. In place of fire and fury, Voss activated a single transmission beacon. "This is Commander Voss. All Dominion ships. All independent warlords. All remnants of the Imperial fleet. You will gather at these coordinates. You will power down your vessels and await decommissioning." Across the stars, the broken fragments of the Dominion war machine complied. What few admirals remained had no orders. No empire. No hope of resisting. They limped to the designated dead zone and shut down their engines. The galaxy watched in stunned silence as the unthinkable happened. Thousands of warships drifted quietly into surrender formation. Not a shot fired. No human troops deployed. No planets occupied. Voss stood watching the icons populate the grid. "Proceed." The Leviathan released its ghost drones one last time. Silent, unstoppable, they entered every vessel. They extracted power cores, wiped weapons databases, removed strategic files. Then they vanished without trace. When the last drone returned, the entire Dominion fleet had been reduced to empty, powerless shells. "Complete," the AI reported. "The Dominion Navy is now obsolete scrap." Voss allowed himself a single deep breath. "Transmit the final message." The Leviathan's voice carried across every star system the Dominion had ever ruled. It echoed through abandoned war rooms, rebel strongholds, neutral stations. A simple declaration of absolute certainty. "This is humanity. We do not seek your territory. We do not desire your servitude. We demand only this: never again. Never again will the strong consume the weak without consequence. Never again will you forget what we are. In the control center of the Leviathan, the crews sat in absolute silence. The weight of history hung heavy. The galaxy would remember this moment forever. The AI's voice broke the stillness. Incoming transmission. Private channel. Supreme Marshal X Whiteowl. Voss gave a single nod. Put her through. X Whiteowl appeared again. The venom in her voice was gone, replaced by exhaustion and bitter acknowledgement. I never imagined I would live to see the end of the Dominion. Voss's reply was quiet, almost gentle. Neither did we imagine we would live to return. She stared at him for a long moment. You were never weak. Voss smiled faintly, but there was no warmth in it. You mistook patience for weakness. The greatest error of conquerors. X Whiteowl exhaled slowly, a sound somewhere between sorrow and rage. So what now? Do you burn us to ash? No. Voss's voice hardened. We've shown the galaxy what happens when power is abused. That lesson is enough. Her mandibles clicked faintly. And if we rebuild? Voss stared at her, voice lowering to something dark and final. Then we will come back. And next time we won't just disable your empire. We'll erase it. The line went dead. The Leviathan powered down its weapons. The stars stretched out before it, silent witnesses to the death of the greatest empire the galaxy had known. Voss spoke one last command. Set course for home. As the ship vanished into the darkness, the galaxy whispered the name they had once dared to erase. Humanity. The Leviathan drifted in the silent void between stars. No pursuit. No alarms. Just the endless dark stretching before it. Commander Eric Voss stood alone in the command center, gazing into the swirling mass of galactic clusters. His reflection in the glass was cold, worn, and unreadable. The AI's voice cut into the stillness. All fleets stand down. All Dominion assets neutralized. The final surrender declarations have been confirmed. Voss spoke softly. Time since the initial incursion? 109 standard hours. He allowed a breath. We ended an empire in 4.5 days. The AI confirmed. Phase 3 complete. Voss did not move. His voice, when it came, was distant. Transmit the Continuum Protocol. The Leviathan's systems activated. Across the fractured galaxy, encrypted signals burst silently into space, each carrying the unmistakable seal of the hidden continuum. Old Earth dialects, impossible to trace, impossible to mimic. The same message repeated to every liberated world. To rebels who had never hoped for victory. To neutral factions who had hidden in fear. Even to surviving Dominion governors who now cowered behind deactivated weapons. The message was simple. Humanity has returned. You are free. Stand independent. Rule yourselves. If you ever build chains for others, we will come again. There was no reply. None was needed. Voss stared at the swirling darkness. The burden pressed against his chest harder than any battlefield weight. The AI sensed it. You should rest. Voss chuckled once, without humor. Not yet. The transmission logs updated again. New requests streamed in. Dozens of planets begging for assistance. Newly freed species seeking guidance. Voss studied them all in silence. They want leadership. They want assurance. The AI corrected. They want to know the shadows remain. Voss nodded grimly. And they will? His hand hovered over the activation key. Signal the fleet. In systems no sensor had ever charted, black shapes stirred. Massive warships, larger and stranger than even the Leviathan, unfolded from quantum vaults hidden within the fabric of subspace. The Vanguard Ascendant. The Obsidian Arkansas. The Eclipse Lance. One by one, humanity's silent armada reawakened. They had waited for over a century in dormant isolation, engineered to be perfect watchers, perfect guardians, perfect reminders of what happened to those who enslaved. Voss issued a single word. Stand by. The ships acknowledged, then faded back into the shadows of deep space, invisible and intangible. The AI spoke again. Mission complete. Voss stared into the blackness. It never is. A soft chime. Incoming message. Encrypted. Unidentified. Voss frowned. Put it through. The voice was soft, female, unmistakably human. This is Continuum Agent Tala's, Deep Recon Sector S-31. We've detected an anomaly. Voss straightened. Explain. A vessel, Commander. Unknown configuration. It emerged near the event horizon of Null Abyss. No transponder. It's watching us. Voss froze. His breath caught. Confirmed? Confirmed. Our scans can't penetrate. They're ignoring hails. Exact size, twice the displacement of the Leviathan. The AI interjected sharply. No species possesses such design capacity. Talas's voice lowered. It looks like us. The command center fell into absolute silence. Voss whispered. Impossible. Orders, sir? Talas asked. Voss stared into the endless dark as realization settled over him. The galaxy was vast. Older than any empire. Older than Earth. He smiled slowly, coldly. We wanted to teach them fear. Perhaps someone else came to teach us. The AI's tone darkened. Proceed? Voss stood tall. We observe. No engagement. Not yet. The unknown ship remained there, far beyond normal space, a silent observer. A promise that the game was not over. The Leviathan powered down weapons and drifted onward. Voss spoke into the dark. Let them watch. The AI acknowledged. And the Continuum? Voss smiled grimly. We remain. The Leviathan vanished into the velvet dark. Behind it, the broken ruins of an empire scattered into chaos. In front of it, new mysteries loomed like titanic ghosts waiting beyond the stars. The galaxy whispered a name it had once tried to erase. Now it would never forget. Humanity had returned. And somewhere, something even older had noticed. The hunt would never truly end.